Hello.
Hey
It's,
guys,
it's
Welcome.
Justice and Phil, or Phil and Justice, or
we are here.
we are indeed to serve the public at large.
That's
Yes.
right. The public or our robot overlords, whoever we're serving right now.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna get into that, huh? Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna talk about that.
yes, absolutely. You sent some rather interesting articles today.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, as everyone knows, or maybe they don't know. I don't know. I live in California, so I guess I know. But San Francisco allowed robotaxis everywhere all the time. A week before last, they
Yes,
said, "Okay, 24 hours a day, anywhere in the city, you can have your robotaxis." And
how's that working out?
immediately, they it was 3 days later. The city council was like, "We need to rethink this. We need to reconsider this." Guys, of course, they've had problems with they had, running into fire trucks. One, I love the one that drove into the wet cement.
Yes,
And I don't know if you saw the pictures. There were cones and everything around, so it had to go through the cones and then get stuck in the wet cement.
How it doesn't see the cones, I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I have questions.
that's what I said too. Because I have my screen on in the Tesla all the time, and you can see all the little obstacles as you drive by, and I know it sees cones all the time. Like it's
Uh-huh.
never an issue. So I didn't know how. These obviously aren't Teslas; these are Chevys.
yes,
But come on, I was very surprised how that all worked out. Um,
Mm. Uh-huh.
but Sam, not as surprised as I guess the San Francisco City Council, who was like, "Oh, we thought this was perfect."
so are they? Am I understanding correctly that it's not perfect?
It is not perfect, and it's what is one of those things. So here's the thing, Ray. Though, and you know this because I think you went in one, but in Phoenix they also have
Yeah.
these, and they have just not had nearly the same troubles as they do in San Francisco.
Well, why would that be? Why do you think?
I don't know, and I don't know if part of it is traffic patterns. Part of it is any of us who've driven in San Francisco can probably tell you nobody knows how to drive in San Francisco. It's a nightmarish place to drive. I would rather drive in LA than San Francisco any and every day.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So I don't know how much of this is other drivers sort of because these cars, the bolts, they're stopping in the middle of intersections and freezing, and like I don't know if they're like, hey, we don't know what this other driver is doing, so we're pausing, and then they just never restart. I don't know. Like, I can't tell you hitting a fire truck. I can't tell you what that is. I mean, other than
How do you
Tesla had
miss a
that
fire
problem
truck?
for a long time too.
How do you miss a fire truck? I just gotta understand. And so now the questions are like, who is programming these things? How I, again, I mean, fine, missing a cone, but missing a fire truck. How does that happen?
Well, so I know in the Tesla case, and I think Ray and I have talked about this once before. In the Tesla case, it was the fire truck across the road, right?
Yeah.
So what it and it was really weird for an AI to see. So it thinks it's a billboard that you're going to go underneath.
Oh, interesting.
Because what happened in the Tesla cases, particular, those are the ones that I know how everything worked out on it was the
Hmm.
car didn't even slow down. Just rammed straight in because it thinks it's going to go underneath the billboard.
Sure.
It's fixed now with Tesla, but apparently Bolt still. I don't know if that was the case with
Hmm.
this incident. I just read that it hit a fire truck, and I know that was a problem before. Of it just didn't really understand what it was seeing. Now they've all had issues with hitting ambulance too. I can't tell you
What?
what that is.
I don't. I just don't understand that. That's an issue with them just not being able to program this stuff right, which means that they're not ready.
Well, I would say this,
Is that
Phil.
what you're saying, Phil? They're not ready?
Yeah,
They're
say
not ready.
I'm full-
This is not. They're not ready to have this out yet. Sorry.
That's what it's called full self-driving beta. And you have to have your hands on the wheel because in Tesla, you're still training it for all of this stuff. You're still training so it can figure out all this stuff. Because I don't think you can program it. You can't program every situation in life. You just can't. It has to learn. And these do great on closed tracks. Right?
Okay,
Well,
they can
so
do
then
anything on
where's
a closed track. So
yeah,
you
Why do
have
they
to be
think
in
that
the
if
real
it's
world.
okay on a closed track that you can put it on a street full of vehicles and people and cones and wet cement and everything else and fire trucks and ambulance and they're not ready.
didn't the city decide that they would ask the robotaxis to cut their fleets in half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what it should be cut to? 0.
Yeah, well, I agree with that, but maybe what they meant when they said cut in half was, well, I don't know, actually cut the cars in half.
Well, I
Well-
think they're going to do that on their own, with or without.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you've got to figure it out. If they have to be trained, and I agree that I don't think they're ready for driverless, no one behind the wheel right now, ready to take over. And Ray, when you did it in Phoenix, there was a driver, right? There was someone behind the wheel.
Zach and I, we actually did it in Vegas.
Oh, Vegas. Okay.
And not only was there a driver behind the wheel, but there was another guy in the front seat with him in case, I don't know, the driver fell asleep. Who the hell knows? But the thing that surprised me was that we took a self-driving Lyft or Uber, and it was a BMW of some kind. And I thought, this is really fascinating. It takes 2 employees to be in the self-driving vehicle. How's this make any sense? And as the one guy would explain, well, just in case the car doesn't read things right, that's why you have to have the driver. And then because it was new technology, you needed the guy in the passenger front seat to explain to the people in the back what the hell's going on. This, and it works great. It doesn't, it doesn't work great. Okay. This was like 3 years ago that Zach and I did this.
Yeah.
And here we are in San Francisco. One decided it wanted to drive into wet cement so it could become a permanent monument to human stupidity. Okay. And another one decided that, well, just because there's a siren going off and just because there might be a vehicle coming is no reason for me to pay any attention to that and not hit it and injure the passenger that's in the vehicle. Yeah, it's taxi drivers are bad enough, and I just can't imagine a robotaxi being able to, especially in a city like San Francisco. But having said that, you would think, well, with all the people moving out of San Francisco and all the businesses moving out of San Francisco, that should be the perfect place to do it because it's eventually going to be a ghost town.
Yeah, I mean, they have all those kind of problems too. And look, I don't know 100% like on the wet cement. I don't know if like there was a car blocking the cones and it thought I could go around. I don't know what it was, but I know that their excuse, Phil, do you remember what their excuse on it was? What the Robotaxi people said? They said there was cell reception issues, and that is why this happened. I was like,
did I miss that?
What does that have to do with anything? And San Francisco is kind of known for bad cell reception, right? I mean, Apple Maps had a huge problem there when they started, as well as New York City. Like, so your car can't rely on cell reception.
Where was the Verizon guy going? Can you hear me now?
But Justice. What does a cell reception have to do with being able to visually see and be able to interpret what's in front of the vehicle and make that determination to go left, right, stop, whatever it needs to do.
That's sort of was my question. That I wanted to ask them was what, and I think this was mainly in part of the stalled vehicles that just sort of stopped in the road where they were, not the ones that
stayed there and they couldn't get them to move, and they couldn't. Yes.
And I think that's what, so it was like some safety kick-in feature, supposedly. But my question is, why isn't it all on board? If you can't do it all on board, then you really should not be doing, because we all know, we all have phones. We all know how frustrating that signal can be. If you're on a long trip and you're streaming your Apple Music, let's say, or Android if you're Ray. If you're streaming your music, how many times does it cut out because all of a sudden your signal drops? Well, I don't want my car to stall out in the middle. Say, Death Valley. I've driven through there. There's no cell signal. So my car is just going to stall out in Death Valley. I'm going to sit on the road because,
if you're in a Robotaxi, if you're in a Robotaxi, it will.
This doesn't make sense.
Right. So I'd like to address Mr. Jinsky's, question here about cell reception. So I'm very familiar with that, and I do understand that it is for mapping. But if in the event that does not work, the vehicle still should have the ability to stop, make maneuvers, if the vehicle loses that cell connection. It still needs to do that.
Yeah, I agree completely. The self-driving needs to be on board and not stream.
It doesn't need to be relying on that cell signal.
I agree. And if it needs a map to do it, it should be downloading the map of your area before it drives. I don't understand this whole concept and how is it safe that it just stops in the middle of the road? What if it's a highway?
Okay.
So everyone's going 65 and your car just stops because you lost, that's incredibly dangerous.
Well, but don't they rely on cameras? Isn't there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not just cell reception. Don't they have cameras built into the car that transmit that data to the computer that says, "Oh, look at this. Oh, we've got a problem. Let's pull over to the right." Let's, as opposed to let's just stop in the middle of a lane. I mean, how's that? If the issue is cell reception, then the issue is we're not ready for robo-taxis.
Well, no,
you are absolutely correct.
I will tell you this, Ray, too. It's worse than you think because only Tesla relies solely on cameras. These vehicles all have radar and LiDAR in them. Correct. They have much more than just that's what all that pack on the top of the car is. Yep. Is all this other technology. It's not even just relying on cameras. So just the concept that the car stops because you've lost cell signal is ridiculous. And I agree. It shows that it can't continue to go on. I know my Tesla does not need a cell signal to do its self-driving. It just doesn't. And it's a dangerous thing to do, I think.
Or maybe it does and you just don't know it.
I've driven through it. Well, I don't know that I had it on when I drove through places without. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't.
Yeah. But I think the key is to never put your Tesla in full self-driving mode. And the other key is never get into a taxi that doesn't have a driver. And I can also say that there are many times that you shouldn't get into a taxi that has a driver. I've been in some taxis and the drivers are literally maniacs.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget I was in a cab one time in West Texas, and the fact that the cab driver kept talking to me and throwing his hands up in the air as we're doing 75 miles an hour on an interstate, and he's driving with his flipping knees. Okay. I could not wait to get to the hotel where I was staying so I could get out of that taxi. Okay. So even with human beings, it's not always particularly safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just kept thinking, the accident you have just might possibly take my life. Please put your hands on the wheel, damn it.
Yeah. So let me make one of these, address one of these other comments here.
Okay.
None of these are level 5 autonomous driving yet, and yet we are letting people get into these vehicles with no driver, no safety person, and only sitting in the back, as if they are level 5 driving. And that, I think, is the discussion of the show, which is that's stupid, and we're not ready for that, and that is dangerous. I agree, they're not level 5. But we're treating them as if they are in
Correct.
a really busy city. It's not, look, people are indeed fleeing San Francisco, but it's not empty, right? So there's lots and lots of people. And there's, there's lots of homeless and high people running around the streets.
Yes.
Who all obviously will walk out in front of your car, no problem. Anyone who's been there lately, downtown in particular, has
Knows
probably experienced that.
Yes.
And they'll just walk out in front of your car. So what happens when a Robotaxi slams into one of them? Are we going to say, hey, it's no cell signal, it's not level 5, so just don't worry about it? Like, come on. That's a ridiculous notion. It's just...
Yep.
Oh, and as John says, there's rats and snakes too. So you have to, you just never know what's going to jump out in front of a Robotaxi.
I have never seen a snake in San Francisco. I used to live there. I have never seen. I mean, that's not true. I've seen lots of snakes. They were around people's necks and arms and stuff, but I've never seen one in the wild there. Here in Sacramento, sure, but not rats. Absolutely, there's rats and cockroaches there too. As in any city.
Yes. Hey, the rats in New York City love New York pizza. I'm
sure I would too.
Yeah. Well, we'll take you there sometime. Yeah.
But, on that note, I don't know, Phil, if you saw the video of this new car scanner that they're trying to roll out at some of these dealerships.
I did. I
saw
that
it.
Looked really, I think it's great. I think it's, as it stands right now, you've got folks that as the car rolls off the line, they're having to put their hand on the vehicle, make sure, do an inspection, make sure everything is good on it right before it rolls off. These scanners, or how I saw it in the video, can be a little bit more precise. It can really scan almost every, square inch of the body panels and the fitment and whatnot coming over the vehicle, and also scans the internal components too. So,
how does that
it was
work?
neat.
I want to know how that works. How it
I want to know how it
the
works
internal.
too.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought it was really interesting. I know when we put up the new facility for the Audi store that I was at, there was technology built into the service drive where you drove in and it checked your tires both for alignment and wear as you were driving. You didn't even know, and there would be a printout waiting for you about how your tires looked. So it must be along those same lines. It's pretty fascinating stuff when you think about it. I would trust that more than I would trust a Robotaxi.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
Well, is that because you're not putting your life into the hands of that vehicle scanner?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Ray, do you want to explain what it is? Stuart, I mean, I guess we didn't really say what it was, but Stuart here, what is the scan for? What is it doing?
Well, it is a scan for quality control. It's a scan for the undercarriage, so that it can detect if there's any leaks or anything, or if there's any damage under there. And this is at assembly, and then there's a scan at the dealership for pre-delivery inspection, and it's service. So it's a pretty unique setup in the way that you're using, I guess, a more sophisticated vision technology than apparently the human eye. And my guess is, and it doesn't need corrective lenses, and it doesn't take any time off, so it can see everything. And it does. And it sees minor imperfections in the paint. it reminds me of when we were at Staten Island, and Dave and his wife got the Jeep, and in the back of the Jeep there was a surface scratch that obviously could have been buffed out that nobody saw. But if they had this system set up at that dealership, not that they would have room for this system, but if they had it, the system would have picked it up and would have notified somebody, generated a report, so the detail person could have used a little bit of elbow grease and compound to buff it out before it went to the customer.
Yeah, that was one of the features I really liked in the video to watch when it said, said scratches detected, and then it puts it on a report and prints out the report. And what a great, we talk about transparency here all the time. What a great way to do that, because look, the machine's going to detect what it's going to detect and put it out there. A person inspecting at the dealership may overlook some things, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose,
might get distracted.
Yeah. So like all that stuff happens. That's the great thing about computers and the AI there. Someone asked how it has to do with full self-driving. It's about AI is what this is about. And it's applications in technology in all of this. So I really like that. I liked the scanning of the car with the AI and the transparency of it, because ideally you think, at least, and we know humans are humans, so maybe not, but that this scanner would be level the playing field a lot more and wouldn't kind of lie to you about conditions of stuff.
I'm guessing that this scanner never takes a break in the middle of doing something, never says, you know what, I really need to go pee now, and just walks off and misses something. Or I'm guessing the scanner at lunch didn't decide to get a little high, and miss something. So, the beauty of it is it doesn't take any time off.
And it doesn't feel rushed, right?
Yes. And the bad part is it removes a human from doing a job. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. But I don't know how you decide which is more valuable than the other.
Yeah.
Because somehow along the way, I'd like to keep the human doing their job and concentrating on what they're doing, even if they are a little high. And that would be great.
That's a whole discussion for another show, right?
I'm
the one who disagrees.
I have a question for both of you. When you go to the supermarket, do you use self-checkout?
No.
Yes.
Good. Why? I don't. You know why? I don't want to put A, they're not paying me to check myself out. They didn't lower the damn prices of the food so that I could do the work for them. And B, it makes someone unemployed.
I do it if I'm in a rush, and if there's a line that is
3 miles long,
and Ray, every time I go into Kroger, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say every time, but most of the time that I actually go into Kroger, there's only 2 lanes that probably are open and staffed by a worker, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you more times than not that those lines are pretty long.
Yes.
And so as a time saver, I'm hitting up.
But why do you think those lines are long? Because they have let cashiers go, and by having those lines get longer and longer, they're forcing you to use a self-checkout. Okay. Now I will say that I have been in lines at the supermarket, and I did not know that human beings, in particular the cashier, could move as slowly as this particular cashier could. And I think they take the least capable cashiers, keep them, so that it forces you to say, "Oh, the hell with this! I'm going to self-checkout. I can't deal with anybody moving this slow." And
Ray, we talk about training all the time. When was the last time you saw a bagger bag properly?
A what?
Or,
Well,
yeah,
you-
or the
look,
cashier
here,
bagging.
Let me help you with how it works here in New Jersey. They don't provide bags, let alone a bagger. Unless you want to just stuff your pants pockets and you're wearing cargo shorts or something, you must bring your own bags with you. So
Oh, we have
you
to.
bring
We
Yeah,
have
your
to
own
pay 10
that's a
cents.
Jersey thing.
yeah,
We have
that's
to
a
pay
bring
Jersey
your
10
own
thing.
cents for
bags.
ours. But,
The cashier scans, you start bagging. So the likelihood that I'm going to bag properly is pretty remote, but because I just throw the stuff in, I don't, But yeah, here you bring your own bag. They don't provide you bags or nothing. Nothing.
so I just want to get this straight. So New Jersey versus the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Bag your own groceries, but don't you dare touch that pump
Gas
handle at the
pump.
gas
Yes,
station.
that is correct. Yes.
Okay.
And
Sure.
and we are now the only state in America because Oregon allowed self-pumping of gas, and literally every gas station has one or two people. All they do is pump gas for you. You are not allowed to touch it. It's fine with me.
Yeah. I mean, I hear there's a saying, Jersey girls don't pump gas.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yeah. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of things they don't pump, but gas is just one of them.
Fair enough. I'm not going to touch that. So as I say, Jarrett here says it's worth noting in 2023, I've never met anybody, almost nobody. Really, we're going with almost nobody, Jarrett.
Yeah.
That says, yeah, I want an autonomous driving. Hey, Jarrett, I want autonomous driving. So now you can't say that anymore.
I don't want autonomous driving.
Yeah, well, that's
You might want that, Justice.
it still amounts to almost nobody.
No, I want actually. Here's what I want. I want every vehicle to be autonomous driving. I don't want a mix. It's always the transition that's going to be the worst. It's just if all these autonomous vehicles are speaking to each other, I think we'd have less issues. But then maybe they'd be relying on cell signals. So
it's going to
maybe
be
it would still be.
but they're computers, and there will be glitches. There's always glitches. Okay, they're just what
There's
happens.
more glitches
then?
in humans than in computers.
Yeah. Oh my God! According to Igor, my Mini Clubman is losing value based on what he's seeing himself for today.
Oh no, that's not good.
It's a good thing mine's leased then.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it. That will become the mini dealer's problem in another 21 months.
Yep, there you go.
There you have it.
I will say that this is a problem that a lot of people have had with this. The government will turn them off. Maybe not in the U.S. for many decades, but certainly around the world, these kind of things have already happened. During the lockdown events around the world, I think we saw a lot of governments flexing their powers, and it kind of scared a lot of people on what they're willing to do. So that I do see as a legitimate, yep.
Well,
I mean, not that they can't shut your car down now. Unless you got a really old car.
I don't, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, I do not.
And Phil, why don't you get your groceries delivered? Instead?
I did that during COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
So out here,
but you know what? I want to. Yeah, I mean, I do the pickup. I will go online to Kroger and I'll get my stuff and go to the store and actually pick it up. I've done that before.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that. And out here, Amazon is testing the drone deliveries out here.
Excuse me.
So yeah,
it's not drone deliveries. I mean, this is not made up stuff. This is like really they're going to fly a drone over your house and drop your groceries.
Well, probably not groceries, but they do indeed. They fly a drone, over your house, and then the package comes down, and they'll tell you it's there. It's
Little parachute, is that what they use?
No, the drone lands, lets go of the package, and then flies back up.
Wow.
But obviously, it doesn't always get to your front porch. A lot of
May I
people have
say
had
one
it in your
thing?
backyard.
May I want to say one thing? I don't want to live in that world. I really don't. Okay. I don't want to hear drones flying over my property. I don't want to, I don't want to see that there's 4 or 5 competing delivery services using drones showing up at like a condominium, and there's just like bombs dropping out of the air where they're dropping your packages down trying to get it on your balcony or whatever.
Yeah, I think Pojak has it too here. Unless drones start crashing and hurting people, yeah, because they're fall from the sky, and yeah, I mean,
yeah, I'm not in on dronage.
I think it's an interesting idea. Like, it's the other than falling from the sky, which obviously, and then the next one is as it's landing, someone grabbing it.
Okay.
But I was also say that I've been in LA right after the pandemic ended, and they had the food delivery bots.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them when you were down there, Phil. There's the little bots, and they're driving, going down the street, and they let you know when you're there, and you go out and you pick out your food and stuff. And
Yeah.
I have been hit by one.
Really?
As it was going down the street. I'm like,
of course.
I was like, what are you doing? And you know where I was, Phil, when I got hit? I was standing in line at Pink's.
For a hot dog.
Yeah, that's right.
course
For
you
the
were.
world's best hot dogs. And it just ran up and hit me. I was like, what in the world is going on?
You're gonna have to put the world's best hot dogs to a test when we're in Detroit.
Yeah.
And get yourself an American Coney dog.
Yes.
In Detroit.
I will.
And then
I'm all for that
you can
test.
make a determination as to, is it Pink's or is it a Coney? I mean,
it's going to be a Coney.
Plus Detroit pizza. 17 years I worked in pizza. I have never had Detroit style pizza. I gotta try that. I want to know.
We're doing that.
Compare that.
We're gonna do it up.
Yeah.
I just know I'm going to gain about 20 pounds when I'm out there for that. Because between pizza and hot dogs, I'm in, buddy. I
know that's my trouble. I started joining the gym, and I have a personal trainer to get me ready for Detroit.
How far is Chicago from Detroit?
We're about 4.5 hours.
So maybe we could take a quick ride in that Tesla.
That's right.
And get herself a Chicago beef.
And Phil, I know this is true when I say this. I will 100% drive 4 hours each way to go get a Chicago dog and try it.
I know you will.
I will 100%
but you won't,
do that.
because you won't have time to do it.
Yeah,
we got our schedule is boom, 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 boom. You won't have time.
Well, look, it's a full self-driving Tesla. Maybe we sleep on the ride over and back.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe.
Oh,
wow. Can we get a couple of those dipped beef sandwiches from Portillo's in Chicago? Maybe we can get them droned in.
Those sound good.
There
too.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get some. We'll just order some food, Ray, before we get there. Just have it all delivered to the hotel.
I'm in
when we get there.
No, I'm in.
Chicago dogs, Uno pizza. We got to get one of those.
No, Lou Malnati's is better.
Is it?
Yeah,
I've just heard Uno, so I've never tried any of them.
Well,
so I will trust your judgment. But whatever, Chicago pizza, Chicago dog. We got to compare all the food.
You got to get the Italian beef in Chicago. It is so good.
And then Phil, when we're at the auto show, don't be surprised that Ray, Jerry, and I are probably sitting down most of the time, maybe not feeling so well.
I will anticipate that, but you still have to get to Chicago and back safely. And
no, we'll just have it all delivered. We'll just have it all delivered to the hotel when we get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we'll get it all shipped in.
Yeah.
And maybe we can set up a booth and start selling some of the stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Igor. Yeah, absolutely. If we're gonna have it shipped in, there is no better lobster roll than James Hook's out there in the bay. They're
Somebody
amazing.
wants to know where you're taking us for pizza, Phil.
Oh, I haven't quite decided yet.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you already booked it. I thought you.
I didn't. I did not book anything yet.
Oh, okay.
You know, I want you to know that this was so perfectly scheduled. My daughter's 30th birthday is September 24th. So I should be home in time.
Yeah, we have a lot of schedule conflicts. I'm kind of surprised at that.
Yeah,
but look, the auto show is when the auto show is, so it's not like we had a lot of choices.
Yep.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I'm just thinking, all the things I missed in my kids' lives because I was involved in something in the automotive business, and then for her 30th birthday, okay, I'm at the Detroit Auto Show that day. How do I explain that? But I love you, honey.
Yeah.
Daddy really wants to be there for you, but
especially at 30, because it's all downhill from there.
Well, don't tell her that.
Well, let's not. Yeah, let's not.
We don't want to tell her that, and I don't think it is, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, my knees started hurting, I think, about 2 seconds after I turned 30. And my back
That
about
sounds
a year
about right.
later, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
It does sound. Does sound about. Right.
All this talk about food.
Yeah, it is.
Hungry?
It's so close to your lunchtime. I haven't even eaten breakfast either. So,
What?
And then we have, don't we have like 9 meetings today too, Phil?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been a bit preoccupied about them.
Yeah.
There's just so many going on. Pojak, we're doing both.
We're doing
going to Greenfield Village and doing the F-150 tour.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And was it the Henry Ford Museum?
Yeah, that's Greenfield Village.
Greenfield Village, okay.
Yep.
And we're going to go see where they make F-150, the Ford F-150s?
Unfortunately, they're not going to be running the line on that Saturday, but that's fine. We can still get through it and see it.
Phil, they would be on strike anyway.
Yeah.
So they very well might be that way.
They're probably going to be on strike. So
now
even if they were supposed to run the line.
Here's a question for you. Here's a question. If they are on strike, would we even still be able to go walk through the factory, or would that be considered crossing a picket line?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll find out though.
Yeah.
Man.
And Igor's, I believe, I know where Mike's is. They have the best cannolis out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, gentlemen.
No,
we'll
thank
be back
you.
next week with something about something. We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, something about electric vehicles, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then we'll go off topic as we usually do.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I apologize for not having a daily show today, but my son was traveling again. He was up in Staten Island again. And
how did he get there, Ray? Did he rent a car?
Well, did he rent a car? Well, no, he didn't quite rent the car because he didn't pay. He showed up at my apartment at 5 minutes to 8, took the keys to my car, and I told him, I said, here's the second key to my Mini. Here's a set of my house keys. Keep them, okay? Just keep them. So he drove up to Staten Island. He had banners to pick up and meetings to have up there. But the point of all this is that he and I will be back tomorrow night on the main channel at 7 for our Saturday night with CarEdge. So I apologize for not being there today. So I won't set foot in a Ford plant. Oh, no, you think they're going to hurt me?
Yeah, Farley's not there. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you know, and they know the crap they build. They are well aware of
They
the crap
do.
they build.
They can see it in their recall list
Yes.
versus everybody else.
Yes, they know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They do.
All right. Then thank you again, Phil, for being here.
Absolutely.
We will see everyone next
I love hanging
week.
out with you guys.
Yeah.
Fun.
Well,
So have a good day, everyone.
yep. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Phil. Thank you, Justin.